Carlos Moreira is joining us right now, the founder and CEO of Wisekey. Carlos, thank you so much for being here today.
Pleasure.
Tell us a little bit about Wisekey.
Wisekey is a Swiss cybersecurity company. We started in '99, mainly protecting government security. We are the first company in the world doing e-voting for the Swiss population. So they've used our mobile phone technology to vote online. And now we are moving into the United States through an IPO next year.
How difficult is it to try to stay one step ahead of what the bad guys out there might be trying to hack into, or cyber threats, that sort of thing?
In my case, I was the chief security officer of the UN, so Geneva invented the World Wide Web, where I come from. So we have kind of anticipation. We understand very well from the beginning where the deficiencies of the web and how we can solve them. Later, the evolution of the internet has become a transactional tool, and as a consequence, we need to develop better crypto, better PKI, which is information technology that allows to certify your identities. All that allows us to be one step ahead. But it's a big fight. I mean, hackers are as well trying to hack us all the time, and it's a big fight.
A lot of us out there are told to change our password every month to be secure, but I mean, that just seems like it's child's play anymore. I mean, is the password almost obsolete?
Correct. The password is dead, actually. The technology of the password was even before the internet, imagine. So the internet has not able to solve the problem of the password. Passwords are based on letters or numbers, and then they are very easy to anticipate. So now you have to move into what you call a strong authentication, which is identities, digital identities, and they are encrypted passwords that you install in your devices. And those are more difficult. They still will be able to hack your password, but not to get the data inside your password because it will be encrypted.
So when do you think we'll be really moving on to that, where people will just get away from passwords altogether?
Yeah, it is the only way. I mean, a password, if you keep on password, you will have every month the issues that you had with Target, with the JP Morgan, will be very easy to anticipate. Right. I mean, it's actually text. It's very easy to break a text file. Very
easy.
Yeah.
What nations would you say are leading the charge in advancing their cybersecurity, and how are they doing it?
In Europe, in Switzerland in particular, we had the chip technology, the chips that you have in your credit card. Right. This is where you put the passwords, and they are encrypted for something like 10 years now. So obviously, the countries have a huge experience on that. This is coming to the United States now.
Slowly, but it's coming.
The issue here in the United States, you don't have a notion of identity. You don't have a national ID card. So the only thing you have similar to that will be your social security number. So you need to have the notion of a digital identity before you move into something like a secure password. Without a digital identity, it's very hard to do it.
It's very unnerving when we think about cyber threats. Where would you say that the biggest cyber threats are coming from, and what type of threats are we talking about?
So you have two types of threats now coming from governments. So this is becoming now cyber war. Yeah, it's a government attacking another government because they want to have some kind of leverage on that. But it's also people. I mean, the technology has evolved so much. The computer capability of a PlayStation 3 and 4 is enough to hack a bank. So technology in our days is very powerful. I mean, you can buy for $3,000 of something that will cost you $1 million a few years ago, and with that you can hack anyone. I mean, hacking is easy because technology has evolved so much, and that's a weapon if that goes in the wrong hands.
And I think a lot of people think that when you talk about cybersecurity, you're just talking about computers, but it's really not. It's any data, anything that sends out a signal, correct?
Correct. So yeah, because the data is coming to the clouds, and the clouds are not actually clouds. The clouds are data centers sitting somewhere, and people get the illusion that the data is on the cloud. So the transfer of the data from your device to the cloud, which is a data center, is where the interception happens. And Wi-Fi, I mean, you go to a hotel, or you go to the cinema, you go to a shopping mall, and you activate a Wi-Fi, but that Wi-Fi is not secure. So any hacker through that Wi-Fi can get into your mobile phone and take your data. Happens with celebrities here in the United States a few weeks ago. So this is going to be a recurrent issue because the data is so easy to intercept.
So how do we actually get out ahead of all of that? How do we get secure?
You have to encrypt. Encryption is the only way. I mean, people will still hack. I mean, it's impossible to protect mobile phones. Otherwise, you will have to have this kind of army phones that is only used for security. So you will need to use your iPhone and all that. But the data has to be encrypted. The only way is to encrypt the data, because hacker will get the data, but because it is encrypted with your key, which is on your phone, then they will not be able to decrypt. Encryption is the only way out.
Interesting and scary.
It's scary, yeah.
But it's great to know that companies like yours are out ahead of this and keeping up with it and getting ahead of these guys doing this.
Correct. And I think the awareness is happening. I was mentioned just in the round table about the CEOs of companies are now paying attention to cybersecurity. Before it was a technical issue. So now bank CEOs, board of directors are looking into cybersecurity as a compliance. They have to comply to have their companies ready for cybersecurity. Otherwise, consumers could eventually take legal actions against them for negligence because they were not able to protect you as a client of the company. So there's a mind shift happening, and I think cybersecurity is going to be $180 billion market by 2018. So obviously, it's going to be many opportunities for everybody to keep the internet safe.
Your job will never be obsolete because they're going to keeping threats and changes and bad guys trying to hack.
Yeah. Another issue is personal data. I mean, not only the hacking part, but your personal data is being exposed everywhere, and not only by hackers, by social media companies, and they resell the data later to third parties without your permission. Our views in Europe and in Switzerland in particular, that your privacy, your what you call sphere privée, which is your private sphere, belongs to you. It's like your house. You don't let anybody come into your house. Your house is private, right? You should have a house on the internet which you are private, and people should not be able to get that data. So this is a thing that technology companies are understanding now, that consumer data has to be protected, which was not the case until a few months ago. I mean,
I think you're right. I think that so many of us are so naive. We think that we're in our home, we're on our computer, or we're using our Wi-Fi, and you know, who could be looking and why would they be looking? But really, prying eyes could be anywhere.
Yeah, because your data is your currency. I mean, people think that because they're using Facebook and it's a free service, but you're paying with your data. The data is your currency, right? When you accept to be party of a social media are offering you a service against your data. And now people are just realizing that the data has a value. Before, people didn't realize that data has a value, but data has a lot of value. It's a currency. It's a very powerful currency.
So to any consumers who might be watching this interview, what are the basic steps you should take to protect yourself?
So the first one is divide your data into two areas. One is PII, which is personally identifiable information. It's who you are, where you live, where your kids go to school. All that data should be encrypted, and should not give that to anybody. This is your really privacy. But eventually, what you do, you play golf, you like going holidays to Bahamas, that eventually you can make available to third parties because you want to receive services. But you don't want them to know who you are. You don't mind to know them what you do.
So that's why
you have to segmentate data. And if you do that, and if your companies start to develop technology like we do, then allows that segmentation, then we are okay.
Well, thank you for all the advances that you're making to keep us all safe.
Thank you very much. All the
nice
best.
to talk to you, Carlos. Learned a lot today.
Thank you very much.